day 24. And today what's on my mind is my business and the way I show up for it. And a lot of it has to do with the masculine and feminine energies. Once again, something that I've been thinking about for a couple of days because I'm creating a short program workshop, a series of workshops on that theme. So I think a lot about that. And yesterday in my Safe to Be Me group, we also talked about commitment and making promises to ourselves. And everything that is happening in my business was mostly due to my ability to keep these promises to myself. And that took a lot of training because, as many women, I gave my life force to my husband and my children for many, many years, which brought me to feeling completely depleted, depressed, and apathetic. You know, I've written about it so many times. And one of the first commitments and promises I made for myself and kept was when, actually in June of 2016, I committed to meditating every day. And I remember that the first day, you know, I kind of squeezed it in. Of course, it happened so that it was a very busy time for me with children. And the second day I was actually traveling with one of my daughters and we needed to wake up very early. And I was very tempted not to keep the promise. And then I did. I just woke up 15 minutes earlier just to be sure. And in that moment when I did that for myself, when I've actually made an effort, it wasn't easy, but I made an effort for me that changed everything. That gesture alone gave me so much insight. And then, you know, where I am today, I guess in my work in the world is from a series of these kinds of promises. Because first it was, okay, I'm going to write an article, then I'm going to publish it, then I'm going to start posting, I'm going to post every day, I'm going to do a video, I'm going to commit to doing videos once a week, you know, etc., etc. Like so many, it's a series of little promises that ended up creating a platform, which today I use not only to help others, but also to help myself. It's a kind of a, you know, very mutual exchange that helps me thrive. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, though, is yesterday in the Safe to Be Me group when we were discussing about, you know, that making a commitment, I talked about that certainty, that stability, that foundation, that a commitment with yourself would represent. And one of the women actually said, you know what, I never had a problem with committing. I always, you know, she was saying, I was taught to do things whether, you know, even if I don't feel like doing them or something like that. And basically she said that ability to push through no matter what led her to be very successful in her life. And that so today she has a different relationship with commitment because it's a kind of, it's something that she doesn't want to feel stuck in. And I understand viscerally what she's saying because it actually reminded me that in the past, for many years, I lived like that as well. Everything was a duty, everything was an obligation. I pushed through. It didn't matter whether I was feeling okay or not, whether I had my period or not, whether I was feeling under the weather or not. I showed up, I pushed through, you know, that's how we are all taught. So the commitment and that masculine energy, that kind of stability and the pole of certainty and security and safety that such a commitment to oneself represents, it's really, really important that we notice that it's not that punishing, pushing authority. That's, you know, that's the difference between like toxic masculine and healthy masculine, where you show up for yourself and you provide that structure, that stability, that something you can count on, and yet it's softer. It's not pushing through. It's, you know, today I don't feel for example, we were talking about writing in a journal, right? To give a concrete example. And that so many ladies weren't able to keep their promises about writing in the past. And so what I suggested is and they were afraid to commit because some days we don't feel well and we're tired and we really don't feel like writing. And I just said, you know what? On the days that you don't feel like writing a lot, just write to yourself, I love you. It's such a small gesture, but it's a loving gesture. It allows you to keep the promise to yourself. And at the same time, it's not that punishing, pushy, judgy, strict, rigid authority, you know? It's an authority like a protector. The healthy masculine is a protector, a pillar of safety, not the pusher, the critic, the punisher, you know? So this is actually was such a great example for everyone. And so the reason why I'm talking about this is a lot of these thoughts and this kind of flow is what I'm trying to instill in my business. Because it's important to show up. It's important to show up regularly. It's important to be here for my followers and my clients. And yet it's also really, really important that it isn't a fight. Because if I sense that I'm too tough on myself, I start resisting, because that's what I've always done before. I was tough on myself. That's like my karmic imprint is judgment, criticism, perfectionism. You push. Nobody cares what you feel. You've made a commitment, you made a promise, you go for it, right? And I just feel that in my field, showing up from pushiness and showing up from that toxic masculine just doesn't work, because my work is energetic. I need to feel well sourced and well nourished, and I need to, you know, when I speak, when I teach, when I share, I need to feel I'm in the moment. It's like I'm flowing, and so it's received differently, and I feel differently, because every time I get off a session with a client or with my group, I feel I'm buzzing. I feel nourished, because it's like I love this stuff. And even these videos, this commitment that I made for myself was because I was thinking about what nourishes me and what can I introduce more of in my life. And so I decided to commit to these 100 days of videos. So what I'm trying to introduce is action through inspiration, action through wanting, action through desire, action through passion, curiosity, being in flow, being on mission, being on purpose. It's like from the inside out, that kind of behavior, rather than the way we were raised, outside in. You must, you have to, a girl your age, a woman your age, a human being your age should, this or that, you know, all the shoulds, all the musts, all the have tos, and then all the shaming that kind of goes with it if you're not doing what is expected from you. So it's been a journey for me. It's been a journey, but it's really, really important for me. And I know there is a whole sort of generation of women. The way we run our businesses is that kind of nice harmony and balance between the masculine energies and the feminine energies, where there is a structure that you can rely on, but so it gives you that protection and solidity and foundation, but there is also room and flexibility to flow. And like, for example, yesterday I was working on something, but I really just needed to process a whole bunch of stuff, so I didn't finish that, and I am going to finish it today. But to give myself that kind of flexibility even in my work is very new for me, and at times it feels uncomfortable, and sometimes there is that inner patriarch, that rises his head in me, and there is a little bit of that, I'm being lazy, or I'm not working. But I've come to rely on this rhythm, and I know that it's when I give myself time to process and to rest and to connect to my inspiration that the results are the best. And because then when I do show up, it's like from inspiration, and then I'm even the work I do is much more efficient, it's much more creative. So just really wanted to share with you because it's really on my mind these last several days, and we talked about it in my group yesterday, and actually I just during lunch with my husband we sort of had that a little bit. It was a little bit of an altercation actually, because he said something to the extent of like, well, didn't you say you were going to do more of this and that? And I, like, my inner being just completely reacted because I'm so allergic to being pushed now and feeling that pressure. And of course he is just he was just being who he is. He's just sort of reflecting back to me the words that I said, but I'm so allergic, so my inner being is like revolting against, no pressure, don't you put any pressure on me, this is different, like this work is energetic and I need to do it at my own pace. So it's just interesting to observe that, and how many different voices there are within us at all times, and how important, in my experience, I found that when we resist, when we are pushing through against our wanting, and when our whole body is rebelling and our whole being is saying no, but we push through, it's such violence. It's such violence. I mean, this is what we're used to in patriarchal society because that's how men work. But for women, it's very different. And I think those that are intuitive, I love observing men in entrepreneurs, because I think successful entrepreneurs, even men, they have this relationship with intuition that is really, really beautiful, because entrepreneurship is that, right? You are, you need to be feeling the energies of the business and be in that relationship with your business where you show up, obviously, and there is structure and there is rigor and there is like discipline. And yet there is also that kind of softness where you're able to notice the signals and the changes and the shifts in the energy or in the direction of your business, or in like the new inspiration, new opportunities, so you can seize them, instead of, when we're so attached to a particular goal and very rigidly, we can miss out on a lot of opportunities. So anyway, yeah, that's what I'm really, really thinking about today and in the last several days, these kinds of feminine and masculine energies within and how they show up in our life, in our relationships, and, particularly today in my relationship with my business, and how it's a lot of unlearning to do, a lot of rewiring to do still. But just wanted to share this today. See you tomorrow.